Cedar Park officials say they're open to a measure requiring security barriers. KXAN looks into the solution sparked after recent crashes at a dental office and a restaurant.
Get ready for some temperature swings, lots of up and downs over the next week thanks to 2 cold fronts.
And respiratory cases are making the rounds in parts of Texas, why one North Texas hospital is asking parents to reconsider going to the ER. Another city is looking at hospital security changes following a KXAN investigation. It's been 9 months since a drunk driver crashed into the lobby of St. David's North Austin Medical Center, killing herself and injuring 5 people, including children. Since then, our team found more than 300 crashes at medical center entrances nationwide. A month before, the Austin City Council will vote to require safety bollards at new hospitals. KXAN investigator Matt Grant reports on new concerns that go beyond the ER.
I just heard that, loud bang.
Office manager Irat UNICEF couldn't believe what he heard and then saw.
Instead of reversing out of the parking spot, the driver just pressed the gas.
In July, a truck smashed into this dentist's office in Cedar Park, just north of Austin, into the room where a patient just finished treatment. And just weeks ago, another Cedar Park crash at a restaurant.
I think it was like a miracle that we didn't get hurt, like no one got hurt.
A different story in 2017 when a 6-year-old was killed and a half dozen were hurt after a vehicle drove through this pediatric dental office in Alabama.
They had called all 3 of them back to the treatment room when this car zoomed through the window.
Following this, the city council there passed an ordinance requiring crash-rated or engineer-certified steel bollards at buildings where parking is within 10 feet of an entrance.
For me, it was just kind of a sobering reminder of the complexity of the problem.
Cedar Park Mayor Jim Penniman-Morin says his city is now drafting transportation design standards to improve safety.
Bollards is certainly in the mix.
While the mayor is focused on road design, speed limits, and pedestrian crossings, our reporting and a potential bollard requirement will be part of the conversation. Councilmember Heather Jeffs telling us, "I do appreciate your investigation and plan to discuss this with our council."
It's not something I thought about until you started reporting on it.
Should they be required?
I think it's a good policy.
Nearby, we saw multiple spherical bollards outside Texas Children's Hospital and one at Cedar Park Regional Medical Center. Neither would say if they're crash rated.
These accidents happen 100 times a day, and they happen where we live, work, play, and shop.
Rob Ryder is a national expert on these kinds of crashes. He co-founded the Storefront Safety Council, which has tracked more than 30,000 crashes into commercial buildings nationwide since 2012, killing an average of 2,600 people a year. Lives, he says, that can be saved with crash-rated bollards.
So many of these things happen in very predictable places for very predictable reasons. People have these accidents because the driver makes a mistake, hits the wrong pedal, the driver's distracted, the driver's in a hurry.
In certain areas, hospitals always have bollards in the areas that this hospital should have had.
Ryder is now working with Sean Breen as an expert in his lawsuit against St. David's North Austin Medical Center after his clients, the Bernards, were seriously hurt in a February crash there. He's also been contacted by Austin City Council member Zoe Kadri's office. According to an email shared with KXAN, Kadri is looking into a bollard requirement for Austin's entertainment district, a decade after 4 people were killed when a man drove into a crowd at South by Southwest.
It's always a question of when, not if.
Last year, a Chicago law firm announced a $91 million settlement against Texas-based 7-Eleven. It put together this animation showing how bollards could have prevented a serious crash that resulted in a double amputation. That suit revealing more than 6,000 crashes into 7-Elevens over a 15-year period.
Have you thought of crash-rated bollards before our investigation?
Never.
Back at the Cedar Park dental office, it's now top of mind. Days after we stopped by, the property manager installed curb stops at storefront-facing parking spots and tells us bollards are being considered.
That's something I requested, so we'll see what they're going to come up with, but that would be ideal.
In Cedar Park, Matt Grant, KXAN Investigates.
And 7-Eleven didn't comment. Texas Children's would only say that its bollards are made of reinforced concrete. Cedar Park Regional said it installed limestone architectural elements to act as a protective barrier, adding that its security measures don't compromise emergency access while maintaining a welcoming environment. Now, this all comes 2 days after a vehicle drove into a treatment center in Ohio, injuring 2 people, including the driver. Police blamed that crash on pedal confusion. Last week, another car crashed into an urgent care in Rhode Island. Authorities say the driver accidentally stepped on the gas instead of the brakes. And then 2 weeks ago, yet another incident. This time a car drove into a hospital emergency room in Maryland, where at least one witness says it looked like it was intentional.
The way he get out the car, you saw that wasn't an accident. Like, he was mad. Like, he wanted to, hurt somebody or something.
Now, the driver in this case pulled out a knife and was arrested. Thankfully, no one was hurt in those last 2 crashes. You can catch up on our complete continuing coverage right now. Just look for the Preventing Disaster button in the investigative section of KXAN.com.
Well, it's a cool night, just not as cold as the last couple of nights have been. 40s and 50s for most of us at this hour, but we are roughly 2 to as much as 7 degrees warmer than we were at this point last night. So we're already trending a little warmer, yet still, if anyone's out right now, they'll be feeling the chill in the air. Just a few high thin clouds, nothing significant, and we'll stay mostly clear the rest of the night with overnight lows getting down to 45 in Austin when we start off our Saturday morning. But coming up in First Warning Weather, we'll go into specifics on your weekend ahead of some pretty wild temperature swings as we head through next week. Thanks to 2 cold fronts, we'll show you an update to Thanksgiving and what those fronts do to Turkey Day.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. Carmen Yanis Pulido, the runner-up in the race for Austin mayor, conceded to Mayor Kirk Watson today. It comes more than 2 weeks after the election. Just yesterday, Yanis Pulido called for a recount. Over on KXAN.com, you can catch up on our coverage, including why it took so long to call the mayoral race. The Texas Department of Public Safety announced the launch of its first ever mounted patrol unit specifically for the border. 3 teams graduated today. They will report to Eagle Pass, Carrizo Springs, and Del Rio. The U.S. Border Patrol has long used horses due to the terrain along parts of the Rio Grande. Well, it's that time of the year when RSV cases among children start to increase. Texas doctors say they are treating many non-emergency illnesses, but they say that's putting young patients at risk of getting sicker, especially if they are not sick.
Your child could be sitting in our waiting room for multiple hours, and if they weren't sick, they could pick up something while they're waiting here and get sicker.
So here's a look at what Children's Medical Center in Fort Worth wants parents to think about. They say children should be taken to the ER when they are having trouble breathing, a 100-degree temperature fever for at least 5 days, also when the child appears confused and is unable to wake up or stay awake. Now, for low-grade fevers, primary doctors can treat those cases, including cases of walking pneumonia that have popped up recently in North Texas.
They have a little bit of fever. They don't. That's why we call it walk pneumonia. They walk in fine. They're not being, having to be carried or no. They look fine. They just have this nagging cough.
The Texas Health Department says RSV cases peak in December or January. Well, it's not even Thanksgiving, so we know these guys right there are not Christmas Grinches. But look at the surveillance video from a Fort Worth garden center where the owners say these people stole thousands of dollars in trees from their property. The video shows 2 people taking plants from the front and the back. Checking the footage the next day, the owners could only watch as the suspects dragged trees through their parking lot and then walked out, hands full of flower pots. A damage tally so far is at least $10,000.
A lot of people work really hard to make this place what it is, and just to have somebody come in and kind of take from that's a little upsetting, obviously.
Now, in addition to not covering their faces in the surveillance video, police say they recovered one of the suspects' cell phones at the scene. A big event in Round Rock today as Austin Community College celebrated the expansion of its campus. Today's groundbreaking ceremony was for 2 new buildings and more than 60,000 new square feet of space. Now, this is all because of the need for skilled workers that's only increasing across the country. ACC's expansion will house programs to train skilled workers for Austin's fast-growing economy. Our Nabil Ramadna shows us what they're doing and why more and more people are turning to trades.
3,
Breaking ground
1.
to meet the growing demand for programs that teach skilled workers.
They need more welders. They need construction managers.
Austin Community College is expanding their trade programs, adding more capacity for construction technology, welding, automotive technology, HVAC, even advanced manufacturing, which will help Samsung semiconductor plant going up near Taylor.
To any student out there considering a career in the trades, my advice is really simple. Just go for it.
Forrest Lee is learning to weld at ACC. She says one reason she went into the trade was the demand for welders.
And even American Airlines and Delta were trying to hire me in, and I was only 2 semesters, and they were like, we'll take you right now.
As Central Texas grows, the area will need more skilled workers for construction. With companies such as Tesla moving to Austin, the car industry needs auto technicians ready to embrace the changes and know what they're doing. ACC says they're seeing a lot of recent interest in the trades.
We saw a 20% increase across the board at ACC, and a lot of them were in the trades areas.
According to U.S. labor statistics, the need for auto techs will grow by about 20,000 jobs over the next 9 years. Another industry feeling the change, HVAC, where jobs will grow by about 40,000 in that same time frame.
Baby boomers are retiring, and there's been a void in a skilled workforce.
That's why ACC is expanding their programs, hoping to put more fresh faces in these critical positions.
The industry's saying, hey, you better train people.
People are recruiting welders everywhere, and trades. You know, it's everywhere.
Nabil Ramadna, KXAN News.
And this work is all possible due to voters approving a bond in 2022. ACC actually put a hold on a number of projects last fall, waiting for more clarity. District leaders learned not only is enrollment shifting outside of Austin city limits, but more students have moved to online or hybrid learning. But some notable projects are moving forward. The Eastview campus will see an expansion of the dental hygiene program. That should open next fall. ACC Hayes will have a new building for nursing programs and other training for skilled medical techs. And the Southeast Travis County campus will add a new building for auto and construction tech training.
All right, let's take you outside to our Austonian weather camera on a mostly clear evening. Had a few high, thin clouds around during the day, and we still have a few more now, but it's not going to prevent temperatures from dropping. We're already in the mid-50s in Austin. Most of Texas is in the 50s or the 40s, and we think we'll be falling into the 40s as we start you off tomorrow morning. Most areas 40s. I can't rule out a couple 30s in the hill country, but I think it's going to be slightly warmer for most areas than it was this morning. And then by midday, we're in the low 70s. You can see the wind direction coming out of the south. We have not had a lot of wind during the day the last few days. Anything's been fairly light, but now seeing that southerly wind picking up tomorrow, it's going to drive temperatures warmer into the middle and upper 70s tomorrow, a few degrees warmer than today. And it's also going to keep our temperatures overnight and into Sunday morning on the warmer side as well, especially compared to the mornings we've had lately. 50s and 60s to start Sunday, and then Sunday afternoon, we're into the 80s. So we'll keep that warming trend going through the weekend, and actually this goes on beyond the weekend too. Mostly clear skies, just those high thin clouds. I don't think we'll see that many of those high thin clouds tomorrow, not as many as we saw today. So there's your Saturday. Sunday starts with some areas of low clouds, especially in the hill country, and then they lift away to reveal a lot of sun for the rest of the day. So all things considered, it's a fairly sunny weekend. 50 is where the temperatures will start here right now before they climb to the 70s Saturday, 80s on Sunday. Just those high clouds and a 5-degree warm up here for the second half of your weekend. We keep the warm up going. 86 on Monday. That should be the warmest day of the week ahead. The record high is 88 for that day. Then a cold front late Monday comes in, knocks us from 86 to 70, a 16-degree drop. But then look, we're 11 degrees warmer on Wednesday. Up, down, up, and then down again here for Thursday, Thanksgiving, down to 69, 62 on Friday. So your Thanksgiving forecast has been trending cooler. The turkey, Tom the turkey forecast will call for 69 and a blend of sun and clouds. I do think there'll be more clouds than sunshine. And in fact, we'll see a lot more clouds beginning Tuesday through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. What you're not seeing any of, though, is rain with these two cold fronts, just temperature fluctuations. Hey, a reminder, our Friendsgiving Challenge continues. We're so close to our evening team goal of $75,000, but can you put us over the top? We'd love it if you could this weekend. Donate at KXAN.com/Friendsgiving.
Live from KXAN, this is Game Night, sponsored by A+ Federal Credit Union.
Hi, good evening to you. Really the final Friday night of a full slate of high school games. It's round 2 of the playoffs. Teams trying to get to that always coveted Thanksgiving Day practice. A win this weekend, and they will play next weekend. And we start with Westlake. Chaparrals playing at Burger Stadium against San Antonio Brennan. 10-1, 10-1, and that is Cullen Devine from Reese Wise. Chaparrals take a 7-0 lead, and then it is Wise again. Chaps only score 24, but that's all they need. Defense suffocating, 24-7 the final. They'll get the winner of tomorrow's Butte Johnson Los Fresnos game. All right, let's go down to San Marcos. Lake Travis, they were taking on San Antonio Johnson. Johnson at 10-1. Cavaliers, well, Van Hopping has had an outstanding season at running back. Bounces off a tackler, and he's into the end zone. Ball was across the goal line before the fumble. And then, once again, it is Hopping. This time, darting and dashing, and then little stutter steps. 17-0. They take the lead. Hank Carter's team rolling into the third round. Chaston Ditta committed to East Carolina. That is Gavin Linder. And Linder, moves everywhere. All the way to the house. And they win it. So Lake Travis gets the winner of San Antonio East Central and Weslaco. East Central up 7 last check. All right, let us head to 5A Division 1. Or 6A Division 2, rather, Dripping Springs and San Antonio Harlan. This one down in New Braunfels, this one all Harlan. Javori Graham, 42-yard touchdown. Drip just couldn't get anything going offensively early on. Maddox Marr, a nice hookup, but this one got away from him. It's 55-24. They are playing in the fourth quarter. Harlan is set to advance in that one. All right, let's turn our attention to 5A now, Division 1. Boy, what a wild game in Corsicana. Georgetown and Frisco Reedy follow the little bouncing ball, and Xavier Warren gets the flip from Jet Walker. It was 38-7. Georgetown the lead in the unthinkable. Reedy comes all the way back. Tristan Airy with the touchdown, and Reedy goes on to win it. So they break Georgetown's heart with that game. All right, let's go to the field now. One of the best games in the state. Liberty Hill taking on Brenham. Brenham, a top 10 team, and that is Pierre Dylan Balinga for Liberty Hill. They grabbed the lead on the field goal from Carson By in the second half, but they had to kick 2 field goals. They couldn't get it in the end zone, so they let Brenham hang around. Cubs with their backup running back, Zirin Upshaw, and he takes it to the house. They get the lead, and then Liberty Hill needs a stop. Brenham looking for separation, and there it is. Tough way for Liberty Hill's season to come to an end. There you see it, 30-27 is that final score. Also, Bastrop season comes to an end tonight, and tomorrow, Pflugerville in a second-round matchup against Iowa Colony. That is down in Waller. Well, for the first time, we can say it's the last regular season home game. There is a chance Texas could be back home in the playoff, but they'll have that Senior Day celebration tomorrow before they kick it against Kentucky. Kentucky, yeah, you look at the record, and they have struggled, especially in the SEC. Longhorn offense has not been lights out, but they've been efficient. Now they take on a Kentucky defense that's been really good, including games against Georgia, scored 13. They beat Ole Miss in a low-scoring game in Oxford, and that has Sark's attention tomorrow.
It's an NFL defense. They've got NFL players all over the field on the defensive side of the ball. They're big, they're physical, they're long. Got first-round draft picks over there. And so they can make the game difficult and tough on you. They're a physical offensive football team. They believe in running the ball, and then they're going to take their shots, and they've got an elite return game with the kick returner and the punt returner. So we've got our work cut out for us in all 3 phases.
You know what I'm asking when it comes to keys other than turnovers and penalties.
Go on, man. The ball. You know this, Roger. The ball. And we were saying this the other night on the radio show. We went 2-0 in the turnover margin again last week, and the impact that those 2 turnovers had on the game. One led to 7 points. The other one kind of sealed the victory there at the end. So the ball's paramount for us. But I do think the line of scrimmage is going to be important on both sides of the ball in this game. I think our ability to cover kicks is going to be big, that they're not stealing yards in the return game. And then ultimately, we've got to score points in the red area, and we got to keep playing great red zone defense.
Part of my interview with Coach Sark. You can see it all tomorrow. Texas Game Day. Official pregame show 1:30 over on KBVO. Texas soccer team trying to advance in the NCAA tournament. They were taking on Michigan State this afternoon in Durham, North Carolina. Longhorns down with just over 11 minutes to go, but Holly Ward to the rescue. She had those 4 goals against Boston U. Ties it up. They go to overtime, but it is not just an overtime period. It is that golden goal situation. Sudden death, and Mackenzie Anthony off the rebound from Mia Justice. Oh, heartbreak for the Longhorns. There it is. Michigan State advances. 3-2 is that final score. Longhorns season outstanding, but comes to an end. Texas men right now about ready to close out St. Joe. They're going to win the Legends Classic in Brooklyn. They're up by 9 with inside 45 seconds to go. So Texas ready to bring home a trophy tomorrow. Meantime, the volleyball team, a winner against Oklahoma tonight in Norman. And how about the state volleyball team? Wimberley down 2-0 to Canyon Randall. And then the Texans looking for their 7th state title. And there it is. How about that? Their first since 2007. Wimberley Texans win it. 3-2 is that final score. Again, the men up 66 to 58. Of course, last night they beat Syracuse, and then St. Joe shocked Texas Tech. So no matchup between the Horns and the Red Raiders, but it looks like they're going to go on and win this one. Longhorns' next action will be a week from tonight. That's our show. Check out KXAN.com, all the high school scores and more. Have a great weekend.